Hello all, I would like to welcome you to today's webinar. Today we are going to be talking about Ultima's Intelligent Workplace, which is part of our Intelligent Spaces offering. We're going to talk about what it is and what potential business benefits it could bring to you and your business. I'm Michael Minorik. I'm a solution architect within the Intelligent Spaces team, and what I would like to do is really introduce you to both the technical stacks and the various business benefits that the stack can provide to you, not only as a combination of elements, but the individual elements themselves. In terms of the history of this proposition, it's not actually something that would be brand new. We've been doing it for quite a while, but we've been doing it in the virtual world as a part of the modern workspace offering we have. So we've been very focused on the user and employee experiences within their set of applications, OS, how they interact within the confines of the systems we've provided them with. And what we want to do here is bring those experiences and seamlessness into the physical world, not only bring it in, but also integrate it. So all those benefits we've seen so far being delivered virtually, we want to make physical as well. So the employee's journey would be seamless, more interactive, and hopefully more efficient. In terms of the wider business, obviously by enabling the efficiency on the employee level, we are hoping to improve general efficiency across the business. But on the other hand, by using technology as the enabler, what we can do is provide rich data back to the business about how the employees interact, how is the business actually using the offices, and how all those interactions happen. So the business has some meaningful data and can make data-driven decisions down the line based on what they've seen out there. In terms of the agenda, we are going to take about what makes an intelligent space, what makes specifically the intelligent workplace, how it came to be, and the bits we are focusing on in terms of those offerings. Again, the main focus today is the intelligent workplace, but should you guys be interested, we can kind of expand the discussion easily further. We will talk about why we would want to do this, why we want to go through the technology enablement, why we want to simplify the experiences, and what is it what we want to achieve at the end. The discussion is a bit wider than you might expect, because some of the things that you might believe are high tech and part of the offering, but you might already have it, some of it. And the discussion is going to be widely around integrations and really making the integrations work in terms of providing the wider experiences. We are going to talk about how to actually do it, what tech is required to be in place, how you integrate the various technologies within the stack to deliver those specific targets, and what do we need in terms of delivering individual business benefits. If you specify or outline something that you would want to achieve short-term, long-term, mid-term, then we would look at the potential tech enablers that go with it. In terms of timings, we are going to talk about when would be the best time to start thinking about such a project, because again, within the wider business, and as we are going to talk about the reasons behind it, it might be a slow pace movement. However, something that needs to be planned. You might already have some of the bits in place, so really plan it well, integrate it well, because some of the bits we are going to talk about are with its technology. There is a lot of tech that makes stuff work, but at the end of the day, we want to enable the employee and the user. So there is a lot of user change coming in, and depending again on the culture of the company, it's something we definitely need to keep in mind, because this really is to enable the end user to make his experiences better, and we kind of need to take that into consideration even when thinking about the technology and the actual approach. So in terms of intelligent spaces, we as Ultima have several offerings that are tailored slightly to the specifics of those verticals. So we can talk about intelligent venues. Within intelligent venues, the focus there is on revenue generation and visitor attraction. This would be sporting events, festivals, stadia in general. It's something we want to make the event or make the place sexy, something that would attract the visitors and making sure they return. It would be a place people talk about, delivering experiences that are not expected, something really out of the box. In terms of intelligent hubs, we approach it slightly differently because we focus heavily on customer retention, data-driven insights, and tailored services, let's say tailored marketing, messaging, and stuff like that. And this would be hotels, hospitality, transportation hubs, museum, and other public buildings, where we have the customers already. We might need to attract new ones, obviously, but we want to make their experience seamless and make sure they will return, they'll use us again. The last one is the intelligent workplace we are going to talk about today. And we are not really, in this case, looking at revenue generation or customer retention. It's our employees. They have their reasons. They work for us, but we want to make their life simple. We want to make their life seamless, and we want to enable them through technology just to simplify the daily interactions that they face. So this would be offices, warehouses, manufacturing, facilities management. A lot of the stuff we'll talk about touches facilities a bit. This might not be applicable to all of you, but again, the facility story is quite strong. And the more you integrate with facilities, the further the employee experience goes. Obviously, it's not a requirement because we've really focused hard on making the entire proposition flexible, working as a stack. You can just choose individual components, integrate them, and work your way through them. So that's the thing we are going to focus on today, intelligent workplace. So if we look at the intelligent workplace in terms of statistics, what we see out there is that our new workforce, or even the current one, it's a workforce that is familiar with technology, and not just familiar. They drive technology and they demand it. You've seen it out there, stuff like shadow IT. People are consuming services they've learned to consume in their personal life. They are bringing them to the office. Now, the same thing is happening in the physical world of the office, where you have a lot of seamless experiences in your personal life, and you want to bring those into the office to kind of streamline your work engagement and make sure it really works for you, improving your productivity based on your personal feedback. What we want to do for the employees is make the business the enabler, make the business in control, providing our employees with those advanced features. Because today, within the business, the technology is an enabler, and we see it out there that the businesses that lack technology or don't really implement it properly, it may drag the business down. Again, heavily depends on the vertical, but that's very commonly the case. The other thing is, nowadays we have various lifestyles coming into business. People from various backgrounds with very different lives. We kind of try to cater for those needs by offering remote working and flexible work-life balance. But we found ourselves in a place where we kind of want to sometimes make the people come to the office, because again, the social interaction is something that drives teams, drives teamwork, and making that experience coming to the office seamless in terms of wider team. Again, that's quite often the thing that might drive the efficiency. The simple things like making sure your teammates are in the office that day, being able to easily find out having a tool that does the communication on the less formal level, that talks about where you guys are going to sit, if you have flexible seating or hot desking, making sure the desks are allocated next to one another. And this discussion, although being really simple, something that usually happens on those social platforms, you as a business want to drive it, because you as a business, you want those guys to collaborate every now and then in person, just to drive those social interactions. Because if we drive those social interactions, we drive the culture itself. Another thing is the perception of the business. Attracting new workforce, we kind of need to make sure the business reflects today to attract new talent. So that's a big part of the play. And another thing is shadow mobile IT, really providing users with and employees with options in terms of technology, what is they're going to use for a specific task, and providing a rich set of those tools so the employee can choose from them, so they wouldn't need to go elsewhere and pick a tool that's not possibly sanctioned by the business, that's not really widespread, and one that we don't really have control of. So in terms of the value proposition, what we want to do, what is it we want to achieve? So in terms of productivity and interaction, what we want to make sure that the employee experiences in both the physical and virtual world are seamless, really simple, and provide them with use cases that weren't available before. So some of the examples of those things would be Find My Colleague. You might have a phone with Find My Friends option. Find My Colleague, if you're a larger business with bigger campus, that might really be a nice thing. Invite somebody for a coffee, find out, whether there is queue next to the coffee machine, stuff like that. And we can deliver those experiences really easily, because all we need for that is really the foundations of the intelligent workplace, and then building up the individual applications. That's really up to the business requirement, how far you want to go in terms of, making the experience seamless and entertaining. We want to focus on the employee and guest experiences. So obviously in today's world, we are heavily pushing mobile first to deal with those tasks we were going to mention from your mobile. Again, it's a thing you probably have with you most of the time, so it just makes sense to use it for really simple tasks and simplify the experience. If I want to do something, just tap the phone, either physically tap a device or tap an application on the phone and make the thing happen. I don't want users or employees and guests going through various menus, navigating to web apps, going through authentication procedures. That's not the way forward. We want to make that seamless, that entire experience. One of the examples would be something like just-in-time education. If I have properly deployed the fundamentals of the intelligent workplace, if I show up next to my coffee machine and the coffee machine is equipped with an IoT sensor, because I do have my employee app on my phone and I've never been that close to the coffee machine before, I might get a notification how to use that coffee machine. I've never really used it before. And this just-in-time education, now I'm talking about a coffee machine, but you can extend it to printers, MFPs, meeting room systems, making sure that the employees really, they stay on top of things and have easy way of getting the information to them when needed. The other thing is the guest experience. If I'm a business that's either hosting a lot of third parties of my own or my own customers, I want to make the customer journey really seamless. When the customer shows up, I want them to feel welcome. I don't want to really burden them with security procedures. We've talked about security quite a lot in the virtual world, how to make it seamless, transparent for the user, but we need to make that happen in the physical world as well. So if somebody from within your business sent an invite to a third party or customer, you know that that invite has been sent. So when that person shows up, you know that they were supposed to show up, you know which meeting room they are in. The system should be ready to print a badge for that person, and the experience from the side of the person should be really seamless. Filling a lot of paperwork is not really seamless. What you should be able to do, just open your LinkedIn app or another third-party app, tap a device that's going to sign you, and well, you've checked in. The same thing when you leave, or even provide digital badges for the visitors. And in terms of the onboarding, the Wi-Fi and the network, make that simple, because the aim here is those experiences really, the employees, guests, they wouldn't know the all of this has been set up. From their point of view, it's a simple, seamless experience. So when they come in, they'll get onboarded to the network seamlessly, no hassle, and they would be able actually to do what they are supposed to do. Those wireless displays, it's a fancy piece of technology. It works nicely at home, but why doesn't it most of the time work in the offices? Because we kind of need to think wider and allow the security roles to propagate all the way to the backend systems that control the security. So when my customer shows up, or third party, they are on the network they should be, in order to be able to wirelessly present to this place or to interact with whatever they really need to interact within that meeting room. They shouldn't really be seeing all the other meeting rooms and all the other displays out there. And this is a small thing, but again, it's the experience that matters. If you add up all those small experiences, it really makes up for a significant change. The next one would be process automation for reduced administration. So we do have a proposition around Ultima's intelligent automation. And what we focus on in there is basically all those tasks that are repetitive, getting rid of them, making sure that the repetitive tasks are being done by a computer or a system, and enable the employee to kind of use what humans are made for, and that's creativity, to either enrich that process or to work with that automation tool to deliver more value or higher efficiency. And we can really do that. We can automate applications that you wouldn't even think could be automated. We can automate integration with third-party processes, and all of this for tools that haven't really been designed to be automated. So the idea is that we don't really need those modern and API-enabled systems that are built for automation, but we can actually do those things with environments that are possibly legacy and older, and they've been around the business for a while, and it's just a burden to the business, but you have to keep it, but making the interaction seamless and painless for the user. Obviously, when we look at the intelligent workplace, we want to make sure that we collect a lot of data. We can use this data to drive down cost in terms of applying energy saving efficiencies, because I know where people are, or enriching their experiences by controlling stuff like AC across the office based on how many people are within the office. Because again, if the foundation is there, the network or the IoT sensors, I'll be able to use the data for various purposes, and one of those is really data-driven analytics and actioning based on the analytics. So it's quite a game-changing one. But again, this is about the facilities integration. Not all of you might want to be interested in that, but it's a really nice benefit again for the employee. Just in time user education, I've mentioned the use case with the coffee machine, and that's a strong story and really easy one to implement. Really easy one, because all I need is a couple IoT sensors and being able to act on the data from those sensors. In terms of emergency and evacuation procedures, this is a wider story. Again, might really be touching facilities quite a bit, but all the businesses, you kind of need to make sure the emergency evacuation procedures are there. All the requirements are being catered for, and that you can align with the specific of those requirements very easily. And again, if you have a platform to communicate with your employees, guests in real time, you know where people are, then it's much easier to deliver tailored communication to those employees or guests. And we can kind of think even out of the box of a mobile phone or application. We can think about stuff like signage within the offices. Because if you have a modern office, one of the basic things you might want to have is a display that displays the availability of your meeting rooms. Well, if there is an emergency happening, what that display can do is display tailored data for that specific event, that the people in that section where the display is might use this specific exit to exit the building, or where there is just an emergency testing, that display might be displaying that this is just a test. So again, enriching the user experience end to end. In terms of using my real estate, again, real estate is quite an costly asset those days. So having a modern workplace ready for some level of analytics is beneficial in the long term, because what I can do is, if I'm able to collect data on how my employees behave, about the footfall, about guests, then I will have basically a data set I could work with. And what we have is tools that will allow you first to shed some detail onto the data set, into the behavior, but will also allow you to modify the layout, let's say, of your office, to see how that data set would change if those changes were to be made. Making some desks hot desking, changing the location of meeting rooms, forming new meeting rooms, what kind of impact would that have, or removing some of those meeting rooms. So again, that level of business insight, and it might not be just about footfall or the office layout, it might be about user experiences. If I set up a new workspace within the office that's really supposed to cater for focused working, and people are not using it because I can see that there is not that many people, I can find out why. If there is a kitchen next to that place, it might not really be the focused area I was planning to have. In terms of recording and monitoring assets as well as people, so you can find out who's in the office when. This kind of works a lot in conjunction with the emergency and evacuation procedures, but you can also track various assets around the office. So again, if you have this intelligent network in place, that's the foundation. You can quite easily build on top of it, delivering the various services that you may see fit for your specific business. And if you have some high value assets, or just something that needs to be tracked, think of a Surface Hub that you would move from a meeting room to meeting room, having an app, that employee app, you just tap about on the asset section and you'll see where that Surface Hub is. That might be a quite easy way for the employees to find stuff. You might obviously implement it for security reasons, but it's a lot of convenience that can be delivered to the employees. And obviously automate the authentication authorization for virals and viral access. So again, if I have either employees or guests, they come into the office, I obviously want to onboard them onto the network. And what we want to happen is that process to be simple. I know IT uses various tools to manage this process. Quite of them are very complex. And because nowadays we are using the modern ways of delivering the Windows 10, Mac, iOS, and we want to make sure, if you have a phone that's managed by a company, why do you have to set up your Wi-Fi? Why do you have to set up your Wi-Fi on your BYOD device when you've already set up on Office on it? The business knows that's your device, and you've shown up and you just can't connect to network. Same about guests, connecting to the company network in a secure way might be a challenge. Because again, the simplicity comes at a cost, and if I want to make the environment, make the experience both simple and secure, then there needs to be a bit more thought put into that. The time when we were just providing all users with a simple passcode for either virus or Wi-Fi network is sadly gone, because that is just a huge security risk. But again, thinking of the bigger picture, thinking about security, but also the seamlessness. And there are ways how to do it. And basically, what we are doing is putting all those things together to form a cohesive proposition that you guys could look at and say, well, those bits, that would be something interesting for me, and let's move forward with that. So in terms of how the intelligent workplace is segmented, we've kind of divided into 3 pillars, you could say. It's user experience, operational efficiency, and security. In terms of user experience, we want to really enrich the experience of both my employees and guests, to be able to do basic things from facilities integration like temperature, power, and lighting control, by finding the meeting rooms if it's a more complex office setup or campus, or if I have a set of employees that travel between offices quite a lot, to do the navigation around the office. Instant booking for meeting rooms, parking, and hot desks. Again, that's very often the topic we see out there. That's just one of those small things that are really helpful. Based on the footfall and the data we collect, we can look at quiet times and busy times across the entire campus, see how people behave, and present this data back to my employees to kind of optimize their time better, to find the windows that would work better for them in terms of efficiency, getting the lunch, coffee, getting that break. Basic things are like find my colleague, or location and context-aware information that would really apply to my precise location, even within the office itself. Our precision is really down to the meters, so we can really tailor the messaging to the employees quite efficiently. In terms of the guest experience, we want to make the guest networking experience really seamless. Ideally, the guests would just log in the same way they would at home. They would show up, open their laptop, and be logged in quite easily within seconds, and be logged in into a correct network that will give them access to the resources they have to access. That applies both to wireless and wired network. In terms of wayfinding to meeting rooms, again, if I've presented the guest with a badge, I can pre-configure the badge through an integration with the security system, give them information how to get to a meeting room, and just let them go, because the integration will allow the guest to access only location that he's been provisioned with. And again, in terms of the guest, you might not want to do it. You might just let the guest wait for whoever's invited him from your company. But that's quite a rich experience. And when the guest shows up, the person who invited should kind of be alerted, and should be alerted automatically, making the user experience really seamless, and making sure the reception focuses on the human side of the interaction, rather than taking a lot of notes, providing a lot of information, signing a lot of documents, NDAs, or specific security procedures, and basic stuff, even like find my host if your guest gets lost. In terms of the operational efficiencies, it's meeting room utilization, how the meeting rooms are utilized, whether the meetings actually do take place, zombie and ghost meeting room, something that has been scheduled in for quite a while, people are not really attending. Find those out and make them available back to the business. Desk space, hot desking, dynamic desk bookings, parking spaces. If you think about the wider picture, there is no reason why not extend this capability outside of the office to the parking spaces to cater for that and cater for the parking spaces in the very same way I would cater for hot desks. Busy quiet time across the office, hot desks, parking, meeting rooms, traffic flow, and present that information back to facilities so they would have insights how the office is actually being used. In terms of the process automation, we do it through the Ultima's digital workforce. Again, it's that automation of those various repetitive tasks that the employees have to go through to achieve something. So automating as much as possible to give the employees time back to actually focus on stuff that matters, improving that process, thinking beyond the process itself, and focusing on the efficiency and deliverables rather on the current process that might be taking all their time. And obviously the underpinning bit of it all is security in both our virtual world and the physical one. So making sure the solution integrates very well into our virtual environment for authentication, for user authentication, and into the security and facilities for authentication of the user when they come in and go out. We can feed this back to emergency and security, so we know who exactly is in the building, where they are, and be able to act on that if necessary. Again, we can equip a lot of devices with sensors, really cost-efficient ones, so we can track them quite easily using this solution and the basics of the underlay. So in terms of the most common use cases, this is the ones we've picked up that we have most of the conversations around. So those ones are around user experiences. So the ones that are presented here is something that's not really that complex to set up and can deliver quite a meaningful experience for both the employee and guests. So we look at the way how people book and use meeting rooms, making sure that that process is really simple and really seamless. So if I want to book a meeting room or a hot desk, there might be currently a system that does it. But what we want to do is make it really easy for the employee. By really easy, I mean, if we do have a correct system in place or a system that's enriched through the integration, what we can have is a simple set of sensors that will detect whether there is somebody in the meeting room. When I'm talking about sensors, it doesn't have to be something specific, some IoT sensor. It can be your current Wi-Fi that would do it. Again, the Wi-Fi knows who is where by doing triangulation and finding out where devices are. And if we enrich the Wi-Fi with that integration with system that's able to provide locations of the devices, we can act based on those, use them as an input. So if nobody shows up for that meeting that's scheduled, the meeting room can be released. Or if I don't want to go through the IoT way and making it automatic, I can just, in the meeting room display, can just let users check in for a meeting room. Somebody has arrived, I'm going to tap the display that I have arrived. And making sure this entire experience and all the sets of tools we use are really open, integrated, and not just locked down to a specific vendor. So when we talk about those solutions, let's use a display that's widely available, iPad or Android device, and really just install an app that's going to do it. You use some kind of SaaS-based solution as a backend, and this is how we think about the experiences. It should be simple and it should be open, really, to deliver that meaningful benefit to the employee and the business. If it were to be some closed solution, there would be quite some costs. And again, the business might be limited at the end of the day in terms of the capabilities that specific system can deliver. In terms of guest services, again, I've mentioned that previously, what we want to focus on is the guest experience to be simple. I'm gonna attend a meeting in your office. I'll get an invite from one of your employees. I show up. I use that invite to check myself in on a device that's presented to me. It can be again Android or iPad device. Easily, I'm presented with information how to get to the meeting room. That the system will automatically print me the badge, and the reception is there to form the security to really welcome me to the building, and then don't really have to focus on those small tasks. Again, all this is logged, so you have a log of people who kind of visited you, when you know who is actually in the building and where. So it's quite a nice user experience. And when I, as a guest, arrive to the meeting room, I can quickly join the network, because there is just a single network out there. It knows who I am, because when I join the network, it asks me for an email address. It knows that I'm supposed to be attending a meeting in this meeting room, so it will give me access to that meeting room presentation system, so I can easily present whatever I have to present. And it's simple. Next time I come in, I don't even have to do that. The system remembers and just changes the location of the meeting room to reflect the actual hardware within the meeting room, so I wouldn't be bothered by all the other systems that might be present within the office, which is quite a challenge, namely if you are a visitor coming in for the first time. And again, it might be a small thing, but if you consider how much time is really wasted on those small steps in general across the business annually, those are quite some numbers. And not only that, it delivers that efficiency, but it will also make your business more attractive, because you are the ones using technology to kind of get rid of those small annoyances. And again, a big part of this story is safety and security, making sure I know who is in the building and possibly where, depending on how the system is deployed, and being able to act on this information quickly and provide tailored messaging to my employees and potentially guests. Right. So the most common use cases in terms of operational efficiency is looking, again, things like meeting room and office floor space, making sure I have the information so I know how the office is actually being used. So, if I'm using shared hot desking and people are working from home, I want to have the visibility how the office is actually being used by the users. What are the most popular spots? Well, how could I possibly make changes to the office layout to make people come in more often, or to collaborate more, or to use some premium meeting room space lives because I need it for my customer meetings? And to do this through data-driven insights and tools that are really designed to cater for that requirement. So I can just do the planning in the virtual world and then reflect it into the physical and make sure it will work because I have the data to prove it. In terms of optimizing operations, it's again the integration with my office systems, with the facilities and security, making really the employee experience really seamless, but also being able to capitalize on those integrations in terms of cost savings for electricity, AC, and security stuff like badges, and being able to dynamically allocate stuff. And obviously, the last story we get asked about quite often is asset security and asset tracking. So some businesses have some high value assets. They need to track them, and they obviously don't want to deploy a brand new solution that would be just for asset tracking. They want to kind of take more conscious approach how they are going to approach the future of the workplace in general. So kind of thinking about along the line of deploying a rich solution that asset security is one of the bits they can deliver, and it's also cost efficient enough that it kind of makes the discussion worthwhile against the basic solutions that just do asset security. Right. So in terms of the solution stack, how we envision the intelligent workplace. So in terms of the layers, you can see various layers from top to bottom, collaboration, user experience. And on the right-hand side, we see the applications and tools to cater for those specific needs. So in terms of collaboration, one of the keys, a lot of us is using Office 365, Google Docs, those collaboration tools that are part of our journey through the office in the virtual world. We want to make sure those tools integrate all the way down so we can use those integration natively. So if I'm asked to log in to, let's say, my network, physical, virtual, I can use those credentials. I don't need to use a various set of credentials. The system knows I've been working on this document there, and I want to possibly continue that and leverage that information. Being able to use a mobile app to do some of the tasks like a meeting room booking, invitations, customer or guest tracking, or the social side of things, coffees and team meetings and team gatherings, making that really easy and simple, and providing the business with a platform through which they can communicate with the employees, through which they can really simplify the entire engagement. Because again, the mobile device, it's something we have in our hands quite often. And if there is a minute, we will peek onto the device and do that extra something we need to do. And being able to provide the employees with a tool that can really access the various business segments through a really simple interface, through a native experience that's seamless, and the employees are not presented by the challenges of various authentications and navigations. That's a high valued asset for the business. Obviously, in terms of user experience, we are not just thinking about the employees, but we are thinking about the guests and potential employees. So really making sure all those experiences are very efficient. And obviously, by improving the efficiency, we improve the employee efficiency, but we also make the experience less painful for the employee and more attractive for potential employee or for the third party customer. In terms of process automation, again, is the Ultima's digital workplace, where we kind of focus on improving the day-to-day interactions of all the users with technology to kind of simplify and get the manual or repetitive tasks out of the way. From the analytics side of things, we look at data from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and Zigbee. Those are the new protocols that you might have heard about, part of some of the solutions that cater for low power communication with a specific set of devices. I'm gonna get to the bottom of that in a bit. And again, those tools we want to make available through a SaaS platform, something that's really easy to deploy, something that's easily integrated with, and something that doesn't really burden the business with a lot of infrastructure, complex process. And those platforms also enable us to really achieve the level of integrations we need to achieve. In terms of the network, the physical business core where the data flows, we look at both perimeter and core to make sure when we provide customers or employees, guests with access, it's not really access per network, but it's a user-driven thing. So based on who I am, that's how I'm gonna be granted access to all the various resources. It's not gonna be where am I and how have I connected to the network, and that role is gonna follow me. So at the end of the day, what I want to achieve is when I go to the meeting room, I can just simply present. That's one of the common use cases, because the networks might be complex and there might not be a direct connection through the display because your corporate network is within a different setup of configuration. You want to make sure that the role reflects what you need to do. And again, you can do that by collecting the insights through the sensors and find out where people are, what is it they actually need to do in that specific moment. In terms of location services, again, I've talked about how we pick up locations and how do we do location-based actions. This location analytics can be built using your current Wi-Fi solution, using a new one, more precise Wi-Fi solution, and integrating with tools that really deliver that ability. Wi-Fi out of the box, it doesn't really do that. It just, all you need is an integration with a solution that will enable the collection of data from the Wi-Fi solution to be able to pinpoint the locations of devices. If I'm looking at more precise location tracking, I would be looking at Bluetooth, because that's very precise even within the building, and it allows me to do asset tracking and all of that. And the most precise version of location tracking is IoT. We're going to mention wireless charging as an option. Really easy way how to make sure that the users will provide very precise location data. In terms of an example, think of a wireless charger that's in your meeting room. If I want to book a meeting room, all I have to do is come in and put my phone on the wireless charger, and the meeting room is going to be booked for me, because there is an app on the phone that app is aware of my identity because I've logged into the app. The phone, as it starts charging, sends a signal to the IoT sensor within the charger, and the charger will then report back and will kind of make this all happen in the back end. And it's a really nice way how to really simplify the user interaction. You can use this in many various ways, like hot desk bookings, meeting rooms check-ins. So the IoT, don't think about IoT just a sensor that's deployed and it's a specific hardware used for a very specific purpose. Those IoT sensors can be anything, and we can really leverage that function they've been built for and the IoT side of things, just to simplify the experience. In terms of management, what we want to do is cater for the various business needs. So some businesses, most of them lately, prefer SaaS-based solution where we deploy everything in the cloud, consumed as a service, as an operational expense. But there are still businesses that prefer consuming on-premise system resources, and we kind of try to cater for both. Networking, again, the underlying network is the key, because what we want to make sure the network is not visible to anyone. And in order to make that happen, the network really has to be seamless, has to be well designed, has to enable all those services. So we use Wi-Fi, the various beacons, as well as the current physical network to deliver that. And in terms of power, we do wireless charging, because again, it's not really about the wireless charging itself, it's about the IoT side of things. What can it do for me? And there is a lot of use cases around this, so it's a very handy thing to have in the proposition. When talking about the bits, we've started talking about networks and stuff like that. We've kind of thought long and hard how to approach it, how to make sure that we can really cater for all the requirements of all the various customers. And we, as a partner, we kind of don't work with a single vendor. We have multi-vendor relationships. But what we found out there is there are different kind of vendors. Some vendors, they have those tightly controlled walled gardens of products, and then there are vendors like HP Aruba who've kind of developed the solutions, and they are open by nature. So but that allows a lot of third parties to develop native integrations through those tools. Stuff like I've mentioned, the user experience when being onboarded to the wireless network through a simple iPad at the reception, that experience tailored to the role within the network. That's what Aruba does. But not only they do this, they allow the integration of third-party components. So this is why we have chosen Aruba as the go-to partner for this solution. Obviously, we can actually use other already deployed Wi-Fi networks to provide a lot of features. But again, if thinking more holistically and thinking about the features end to end, our go-to partner is Aruba because of the openness, simplicity, and just the experience we can provide to the users. We've had a look at the how the third parties integrate with the Aruba networking stack, and again, the number of integration is vast and growing rapidly. So that's why they are our go-to market partner. They again, in terms of networking, they do all the bits all the way from the network itself, physical network, to the various access points. Aruba is a Gartner leader in its quadrant. So again, it's an essential part of the proposition. One of the big things we like about Aruba, subtle things, is that their access points, they come with Bluetooth and Zigbee radios. So again, that kind of enriches your experience as a business straight off, because this IoT side of things is already built in. You know, the Zigbee radio, I've talked about it earlier. It's one of those technologies that controls smart locks and those high security devices that need to be on low power wireless network, something that wouldn't be really suitable for Bluetooth. And those guys are already catering for this requirement. So we kind of see a great alignment in terms of our focuses, in terms of delivering the intelligent workplace. Again, there are other vendors and we can integrate with them as well, but the number of integrations through Aruba is vast and by far the most efficient. So that would be the network itself. When talking about the experience and security, one of the other components we use is Aruba ClearPass for network access. This is a system that allows people to join the network in general, physical, wireless. And because we want to be able to pre-provision users through something like a meeting room invite, again, we need this openness, we need this integration. And again, the partners we've selected for this proposition, they've already done the integration. It's there because they found out, you know, Aruba, they have this open mind and allows direct integration with third parties, and they already have tools in place how to integrate with those solutions quite easily. So the user experience is superb. So that way, when my employee shows up, he is joined to the specific network he's really supposed to be in based on where he is, what he needs to do. The same about the guests themselves. And we can do it all securely, you know, being able to find out whether the device is secure, has to be remediated, has to be quarantined. And for us, because we really drive the user experience above else, because in terms of the user experience equals simplicity equals efficiency. That's something we value mostly, and that's why we work with Aruba and namely ClearPass. Again, I might be repeating myself, but in terms of the Bluetooth solution to do the more precise locations and do wayfinding, I've mentioned that some of the Aruba APs, they have Bluetooth in them and Zigbee radios, and the way how to manage those is through Aruba Meridian. So what the Meridian solution would do for me is I can load up my office plans, and it can provide me with mapping and routing, wayfinding, and asset tracking. And again, this tool is an open tool. So the other tools that we are going to talk about, all that provide wayfinding facilities and asset tracking, they use Meridian as their backend, because why would they have to do it themselves if there's already a tool you are managing, you are deploying? And that way, this level of integration, again, gives you a lot of freedom that you can easily interchange the various levels of services being provided, should you not be really happy with the approach or specific functionality. So it's quite a key one. Again, the user experience is on top of the line. So we kind of need to make sure it's all modern, all really friendly, works well on mobile devices, and basically Meridian checks all the boxes. In terms of the Bluetooth deployment, I've talked about it being part of the access points, but obviously if you, let's say, have a current Wi-Fi infrastructure, you've spent significant amount of capex to deploy it, you just may want to capitalize on the precise locations. And again, because Aruba are open, they work well with other vendors. That's the case with ClearPass and the Wi-Fi as well. You can easily augment your current deployment by attaching this functionality on top. So it's not really something that would be limited to Aruba itself. The components we've talked about are really interchangeable. So if I want to integrate with some other vendor, there is the option to do so. And in our eyes, that's the winning solution for Aruba, because that's why the ecosystem is growing so fast, because we are not locking customers down to a specific thing, and we are kind of providing options, and that's what customers like to hear, and that's why it's growing so rapidly. Right. In terms of the meeting rooms, shared spaces, and guest experiences, we use Team. It's now part of WeWork. It's the solution they use internally, and again, Team is one of those modern companies that focus on the user experience, and again, they leverage the open integration within the Aruba ecosystem. Again, it can work standalone, but we can really enrich it by the IoT sensors, Wi-Fi, and really make the experience end-to-end seamless. So if we want to talk about really simplifying meeting room bookings, really simplifying check-ins, providing employees with insights how meeting rooms are being utilized, and being able to take back meeting rooms that are not really being currently utilized, and booked for meetings that are not really taking place, and that's the tool to use. It's really flexible, so you can do all the tasks from the meeting room display in front of the meeting room. You can do it through Outlook, there's even a specific plugin, through a web page, through a mobile app. So there is a lot of options. And again, presenting the employee with all the options, that's the key, because we shouldn't really be driving one specific way how to do specific things, but be able to provide all the options to complete tasks. But because this is all as a service, we are not suffering from the plethora of options, because it's all managed by the service itself. So it's one coherent service that we are offering to all the employees, giving them the appropriate experiences. Again, the integrations are there, so we can really go as far as leveraging all the IoT and possibly networking in place to be able to do a lot of the stuff that you would otherwise have to do manually, automatically. Leveraging sensors based on my presence to do specific tasks, leveraging specific sensors to do specific tasks. So the room is there. And again, the solution is open, so we can use just easily available hardware through where we just deploy an app on top of it, use a regular TV we buy at Curry's to show the availability of the meeting rooms through a hidden web page. This kind of approach is what intrigues us and intrigues our customers. Again, because the underlying simplicity of the entire solution and the openness. In terms of wireless charging, again, as I've mentioned, the story is not really all about wireless charging. It's that wireless charging is something like keyless go on cars. It's something that has developed and now everyone wants it. It's providing users with convenience, and it can provide us with those IoT insights. The Chargify charging points, they not only come with like industrial grade design and really withstand all the bits within the office they are supposed to withstand, but they can be also quite easily integrated into the furniture, and there is a management platform sitting on top of it. So I will be able to find out if the charging points are working well, and I can integrate with third parties like Team and Meridian to do a lot of integrations and really leverage the IoT side of things to deliver additional value. And what one benefit is because those are commercial charging points, they actually charge fairly quickly. So in terms of the user experience, the aim, as I've said now many times, is about simplicity. So what we want to do is provide your business with a single point of contact, an app that people would have on their devices and they could use to do all the things we are mentioning here. And that's the Office app. So it's a third-party product, so you wouldn't really need to go and develop something tailored to specifically your business, but it's something you can actually obtain and make available to your users with the business specifics that you want to use. So it really goes as far as integrating with the Meridian and Team solution, but it can even integrate with stuff like ServiceNow. If my laptop is broken, I'll take a picture of the laptop through the app. The app will recognize it's a laptop and it's going to create me a ServiceNow ticket. And again, we are talking about the experience, making it simple. Booking parking if I want to do. The dashboard that I would otherwise see in terms of the meeting room availability, being able to invite a colleague for coffee, find where my colleagues are within the campus, or find out whether they are going to be in the office tomorrow, working from home. So it's the social part as well, and providing the business with a unified platform to communicate with employees. And this unified platform includes instant messaging. So you can now immediately think about the possible options in terms of security and safety. So that's like the holy grail of what we want to do, is not only deploy all those solutions, but make sure they are well integrated into one cohesive proposition. So it's one point of contact for my employee, and simple interaction that's familiar across the board throughout all the systems. And finally, one of the bits we've kind of mentioned was being able to get data-driven insights from how the Office is actually used. So again, this is Space IQ. It's an open tool that leverages Aruba and Meridian deployments, leverages IoT in general to be able to provide you with insights how your Office is being used. But not really just insights. It will dive deep into footfall and how people use the Office, how they interact, where they most often appear within the Office, but it will also allow you to model and drive the Office further, do data-driven analytical changes with predictions of the behavioral patterns. So I can collect data based on my current Office layout, change the Office layout slightly, and see the potential impacts to the employee experiences. This is more of a facilities play, but again, if I'm thinking about deploying a rich solution to cater for the employees, I will most probably have a solution that buys some kind of IoT or location-aware analytics anyway. So then it just makes sense to present this data to facilities in one way or another, because it's going to really enrich their experiences and possibly enrich the business itself by giving more information to act, expand or shrink as required. And the last slide is really about the freedom of an open platform. So what we are trying to do is really enable you guys, show you what's possible, and the art of the possible is really wide. So by having an open platform, it's really up to you what kind of result you want to deliver, what kind of business benefit you want to capitalize, what is it you want to enrich, how you want to enrich the user experience. So we can go as far as that there is a screenshot of a an Apple wallet pass, that this can be part of the solution. You can really go as far as integrated on the lowest level between your phone and your building security through those platforms. And it's the openness of the platform allows you to do that. So you can integrate with your company HR, CRMs. You can provide application for guests with some kind of limited functionality that they would have to be able to perform basic tasks like navigation within the office, or catering booking, and leveraging connections that are out of the office, like parking booking, parking insights, being able to know whether there is going to be a parking room for me when I arrive to the office, being able to book that parking slot. If I don't show up, have that parking slot be released. And again, it's this small set of interactions coupled together. It's quite a significant change for the user for the better, and quite significant change in terms of efficiency as well. But the idea is, it's really up to your imagination what we can do and what we can deliver, because a lot of those integrations are already there. By building open platform, we can encourage everyone to use those integrations widely. So the next steps, what is it that we would want to do? If you are interested in such a solution, how to start, how to kind of deliver something that's going to be meaningful for the business, but wouldn't really take so much time to deploy, and something that I would be able to easily see whether this is something that I would want to spend more on time discovering. And we've kind of developed the proof of concept, the set of tools we would be deploying as a POC for you guys to see what is the delivery, see it real world, being able to touch it, being able to leverage some of those integrations, and being able to do it in such a way that it would naturally amend to your current solution. So there would be no displacement, no changes to current processes. It's just an additional layer of access for the employees, an additional layer of services. So when thinking about this, we have a solution based of Meridian, that the Bluetooth beacon management system, the actual Aruba Bluetooth beacons, and Team is the meeting room booking system. So we would provide you with something that would change the way how your employees react or book meeting rooms. The entire meeting room experience would change, as well as changing quite rapidly the guest experience. The integrations I've mentioned earlier, that that seamless transition for the guest, into the business, being able to go through quite easily through all the physical and various and virtual barriers, being able to cross them, actually being productive straight away. So we would focus on basics like asset tracking, wayfinding, dynamic meeting room bookings, again, the stuff I've mentioned around the IoT, leveraging data for booking of the meeting rooms, utilization analysis of the meeting rooms, and providing employees with real-time data about around the meeting room utilization, and possibly go as far as desk bookings as well. And on top of it, should you want, we can integrate all of those features into the Office app and really provide a layer on top that integrates your other systems into a single app that would just work as your business or company app. It will provide employees with all the bells and whistles that are part of the wider solution, not just the POC, to just get stuff done and get it done quickly. Because those solutions, again, it's something new and something not everyone is going to be familiar with quickly. A lot of it is SaaS based though, so quite simple to deploy. But you want to have a partner who is not only going to be able to deploy the solution, but who is going to be able to do the day-to-day management of that solution as well. Because again, it's the simplicity for the end user and the business that's driving the value. If you have a complex piece within the business, people don't understand it, it wouldn't really run well. So that's why we are providing a managed service wrap around this offering to really make sure it does work well for your business in the long term, not really just the short term. And that's about it, really. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type the questions into the chat. I'm happy to answer that. But if not, then I'll just tell you that we have an Intelligent Spaces event with HPE at the Experience Center, where we're going to be talking about those things in greater detail, doing a lot of demos, hands-on, and you'll be able to touch some of those things. So if you are interested, then yeah, please get in touch, and we'll be happy to make the things happen for you. Thank you, and have a nice day. Hopefully we'll have further conversation about the bits you might be interested in. Thank you.